Hey, good morning, and good morning. Did you miss me? I missed you. I missed you. I did all of the things that were expected of me for Martin Luther King celebration, and I truly made it a day that I would work. Um, and I did volunteering. I volunteered as a parade marshal, and I had two young ladies. I'm gonna give them a shout out. I know they don't. I only know their first names, so I won't give you their last names. But one was Dee, and the other one was Dear, and they were just absolutely wonderful. They showed me the ropes because I didn't know what to do, but I got in my walking. I got an opportunity to see so many people that I know in the city that were doing things for their Greek associations or for their companies that they work for, or they were a part of bands or a part of some of the local agencies that were just doing great stuff for the community and wanting to showcase the fact that they had young people that were involved in doing something beyond um, just sitting at home or on social media. So it really went well. Good morning, Maurice. How are you doing? Hope you're doing well. I didn't see you at the parade, but I know that a lot of times you participate in that kind of stuff, and you're certainly a Greek man. So I can't remember which fraternity you belong to, but I know you belong to one. But it was wonderful. I just had a great time, and I've gone for many years, but that was the first time that I was ever on. Well, actually, the second time I was on the preparation for the actual parade itself on parade day, but I did it for another agency prior. So this time it was really fun because I was up at the main desk and I got to see how they put all of their lineups together, and how the groupings work, and what the center aisle is for, which is for emergency if a vehicle has to get through. I don't know why my nose is running, but anyway, emergency vehicle has to get through. That was there, so it was just good. It was good. It was good for the city. It was good for the people. It was great for the occasion. So I'm really excited about that. I'm going to turn this light just a little bit more this way. But I don't know what part of the country you're in this morning, but I want to tell you that I think outside it's like 19 degrees. So even though I'm from New York, I cannot stand it. So yesterday, my daughter and I went out and it was freezing, and I had on 15 layers as I did for the parade. And I have a board meeting later on today, so I will go out with another 15 layers on. Just can't handle it. Cannot handle it. Thank you. Okay, Alpha 5. Okay. All right. Alpha man. All right. All right. Good to see you this morning. But anyway, we have such a word that I just thought that just reminded me of what it is some of us may own in terms of our presence, in terms of our confidence. And I believe it's called a plum, APLOMB. And a plum means self confidence or assurance, especially when in a demanding situation. And so this morning, before we get started with the actual word, I just gave you the definition. I have a word, and I only took a little bit of it. It's called change. Sometimes it's difficult for us to make any kind of changes. And a lot of times the change that we made is predicated on someone else changing either the rules or the way in which things should be done, or the order or whatever, but the change occurs. So then we have to realign ourselves. So this is called change, and it's on the website. It's called the Journey page, and it's called Change by Leon Enriquez. And it says, change comes around in a pinprick poke, sharp as a hard yoke, not much of a joke, off balanced, aground. It says a shaft of light in a piercing way, broken in free play, and a dying sleigh, as distraught feels fights. An abrupt flight, as heavy chains gauge mind and overload, bloom tries on the road, as deep dark blots sight. A future bleak with stubborn ego, uncertain and slow, yet grinds blow for blow in grim mindset weak. Vain is the cast of I, myself, me, in lost tragedy of strange irony spot on first to last. So I only gave you some of the poem. There's more, so that I have et cetera, but you could read the entire the entire poem. Excuse me. But the word aplomb, and every time I would put it in there and just say it, it would come up as A and then PLUM. So when you have to say it fast or just type it in. But as I said, it is self-confidence or assurance, especially when in a demanding situation. How many of us have been in demanding situations where we've been responsible for huge projects, or we have oversight over many people in terms of where they are, what they're doing, and the outcome? That's bottom line. That may be the dollar amount that's being paid. It might be the recognition, for what is being sought. All those kinds of things speak to what a plum is. So many of us don't even realize that we've been able to use that word, but we always come up with other words, because the other kind of words could be the poise that someone has, the self-assurance. Many of us probably are very comfortable with our self-assurance. It says, or assurance, the calmness that we may carry with us as we carry out the projects that we do. The presence of our mind. I like that. The presence of our mind. It says also the absolute presence of being nonviolent, being a person who has nerve and sang-froid. Basically, we ain't scared. We got to do what we got to do. We face it as it is. And some of us have a lot of difficulty facing things. We do. We don't know how to face them, because we look at, well, who would be ridiculing us? Who would be evaluating us? What are they, looking for? How do I, make sure that not only do I have the title of being on the top, but am I confident in what I'm doing? And so that is a matter of personal choices. You have to make personal choices that sometimes don't involve others. It's your choice. It is the way you do stuff. And so when we break this word down, and before I do that, I'm going to have you ever been stuck, or are you currently stuck in having a large project to be responsible for, and you're not quite sure as to how to get it done, but yet and still, that it's in you. You just have to pull it out and find your direction. That's what we do. We do it all the time. Sometimes we don't even know we're in charge of stuff. And then we're in charge of stuff. Hold on one second. I just realized that my cord fell out. And when we're in charge of stuff, what happens? We end up not being, there it is. Sometimes when we're in charge of stuff, we don't feel as confident when we first get it. But as we go further and further into what we're doing, our confidence shows up. Our confidence shows up. Our assurance shows up. Our self-assurance shows out. Our poise is visible. And that's how it goes most of the time. So when we break the word down this morning, my A is for just what it says, assurance. I believe that when I am faced with something that I have to do, I do it. I have to get it done. And it says assurance means a positive declaration intended to give confidence and give a promise, a word of honor. Basically, you're there that if you said you're going to do it, you're going to get it done. It says that you give whatever it is, the guarantee that it will be completed. There's a promise that you've, been a part of. It says it may be the vow that you've taken, like sometimes you have to, certain jobs you have to sign up that, you pledge, you honor, you contest, you will. And that's what they expect. So you're basically trying to keep the vow that you took for the office that you may be in. And it says that there's an affirmation, meaning that you've affirmed to them that you're going to get it done. It also talks about the undertaking and the total commitment that occurs. We don't even realize how commitment addresses who we are when we say we're going to do something and it is completed. Can't do anything with that but say amen. And sometimes you might be saying, through the fire I have walked, through the rain, through the dirt and the muck and the mire or whatever, I made it through. Sometimes our walks are very, very difficult. So that was even the question this morning. During tough times, do you realize that you have this ability of this aplomb to do what it is that's required of you? And sometimes we waver, we falter, we don't even realize that it's in us. It's in us. So when we put our P, so assurance was our A. For me, my P is pledge. When I pledge to do something, I have to figure out how I'm going to get it done, and then I must carry it out. So for me, pledge is my P, and it says a solemn promise or undertaking. I said I was going to do it, I got to do it. Now, if I've ever said I was going to do something and I failed to do it, something else interceded. Probably maybe me being sick, or maybe me being pulled to another project, or it might be that there's, death or sickness in the family. Sometimes we are pulled away from what we said we would do. So a pledge is the solemn promise or undertaking. It is your covenant. It is your bond, your agreement. I said I'm going to do it. I'm going to get it done. And sometimes it says it's your warrant. The warrant says it, not warrant as in arrest, but warrant and as in, the commitment. And it's an oath, it's a vow, and it is, once again, it is a promise. When we move on in our word and we talk about APLOMB, the L for me in APLOMB is loyalty. I believe that when you've committed to something, you have to remain loyal to it to get it done. Otherwise, you will never, ever get it done. I don't care who you are. The loyalty has to remain there. Loyalty is a strong feeling of support or allegiance. So when you've signed up for things, they are, I saw a bank the other day and it says Loyalty Bank, and it says all these things that they will do for you. Oh, I believe it, because, right now, some banks charge you a lot of fees to join, or a lot of fees to stay in, a certain amount of money and all that. Others are saying, look, we're going to be loyal to you if you come to us, whatever you need. We'll even reduce the overdraft amount, So loyalty is important. I think it's important in anything that we do. If we sign up for it, then we need to be loyal to it until it's no longer part of us doing it, or part of even needing to be done. So loyalty is a strong feeling support for allegiance. And it says it is fair, it is faithfulness. I always love that word, faithful. How many of us are faithful to anything? How many of us are still loyal to what we might have given up as our New Year's resolution? We're 3 weeks in, did anybody stick with it till now? Some people have. And I said I was going to do something. I haven't done it yet, but I plan to. I have to. It's just the cold weather. I got to tell you, the cold weather just stops me from doing anything. I just do not like it. I don't know. And it keeps following me. It keeps coming around. Loyalty is also trueness or truthfulness. It's a bond. It's steadfast. it's dependency. How many of us realize that sometimes we have to be dependent on others and other projects, and sometimes the difference may be getting paid or not getting paid, being recognized or not being recognized. So loyalty sometimes has its ebbs and its flow, so we have to pay attention to it. Loyalty is also dependency. When we've signed up with our idea of being a plum, we're really looking at that we're loyal to something long enough to see it through the difficult times and through completion. And so, loyalty and a plum really align very well with each other. It also talks about it being a dependency. It says our dependability, which means I'm dependable when it comes to this project that I might be on. And it talks about it being a staunchness, meaning I'm steadfast. I'm not going anywhere. I said I was going to do it, and I'm here. I'm going to do it. Good morning, Cheryl. Hi, good morning, my friend. Good morning, Miss Rosie. You all snuck in there. I just saw it to the right. How are you both? Good morning. Good morning. Love you guys. Today, our word is a plum, and a plum means self-confidence or assurance, especially when in demanding situations. And let's face it, we probably all can name off several demanding situations that we have had or we may currently have, maybe currently be dealing with. Doing well. Good. So I just went over assurance being my A, pledge being my B, my P, L being loyalty, and now I'm on O. So the O for me in a plum, which is APLOMB. For me, it's observational. I don't believe you can carry out any project unless you're observing what's already been done and then realizing what needs to be done. So therefore, you're keeping track of how it is moving forward. But if you're a person that constantly only deals with the limitedness of that's done, that's it. No. How much is done? How much was done to get to this point? How much needs to be done to move forward and ultimately get done? So I have to put on my glasses. Let's see. Doing well. Morning all. Oh, hey, Debbie. Morning. I got a note from Joan, and Joan said that they got back late from their trip of cruising, and she will be back next week. All right. So she told me to give you all that message. But anyway, Debbie, obtain. That's a good word, obtain, because we do have to think about what needs to be obtained in order to finish anything. And so I have observational, and observational says it's relating to the action, the process of closely observing or watching something or someone. How many of us have watched people do things wrong? And we may not have said anything. We say, well, I don't know why they're doing it. Like, sometimes you can intercede and say, hey, can I give you a little advice? Sometimes people don't want your advice. So observational may also show you how not to do it going forward. That's the way to look at it. So observational is the process of observing or watching something or someone. And sometimes it's even an experiment, meaning I'm going to see how they do this, and then that'll give me an idea how I should go forward. And it says it's maybe something that's pragmatic, provisional, and speculative. So observational does give you an opportunity to sit back, observe what you need to observe, and then tweak it for your own self on how it would probably, for you, work better. Sometimes we don't always do that. Sometimes we wait. We wait until something is almost done and, not quite right in order for us to be observant. And sometimes you have to be observant from the beginning. Or if you came in at the beginning, pay attention all the way through. Pay attention. What's missing, because you may end up being the person that is responsible when others fall off. So you need to know what's already taken place and what didn't work, or what took place and has worked. So therefore, you have a pretty good assessment. So when we move on in our word of a plum, which means self-confidence and assurance, especially in demanding situations. I use my M for mindfulness. I don't believe that you cannot do anything and not be mindful about how it is done. There must be a way of how things need to work. Either it works for you and ultimately works for others, or it's not working. That there's your observational that runs right into how mindful are you that something needs to manage. Ooh, that's good. How many projects are you managing? Like when you think about all the jobs that you've ever done in your life for others, what would you take away from that? Did you have to be mindful? I know I did. If I'm responsible for creating programs and writing curriculum and all those kinds of things, I'm responsible for children and adults, and how do I get the information to them that not only they understand it, but that it has the results that my objectives set out for. That would be another good word, Debbie, objective. Aha. But mindfulness talks about the quality of the state of being conscious and aware of something. So we have to pay attention to what we're involved in. Maintain. That's a good word. Sometimes we do have to maintain things. We don't even realize that when it all started, we weren't the maintainer, but we end up being the one who probably was observant enough to say, hey, look, this worked. We need to pay attention to this, and maybe we need to do this again or do it more often, but it needs to be done. When we have mindfulness, that means we're aware of stuff. We're paying attention. And it says awareness, attention, being conscious, taking notes. How many of you take notes when you're doing different things? I do. I'm a copious note taker. I have a board meeting, and already I'm thinking about, okay, I need to make sure I get all my stuff together so that I know what they said the last time and how that is going to mesh with what's being said now, what's happened, because we haven't met since the end of November. So we'll be meeting. We'll be meeting later on today. So I take notes. Observation. There, that word is again being mindful, having an ear and eyes and awareness or cognizance of what's going on. I think anytime you're in charge of something or you're a part of something, you need to know what is really going on, and am I just a part of it as a fringe, or am I really involved in it? How am I involved in stuff? And I know, when Debbie used to work in our office in New York, she was involved in everything. She was the absolute best. She was the best. Because anytime anything going on, she knew it. She had already written it up. She knew where to go get it. She knew who was involved in it. And if it related to us, she informed us. So very, very good. So all these years we've known each other. She's always been the same way on how she used to keep not just her head boss and well, the other one didn't do anything, but the head boss in the know. She also kept those of us who were lower level knowers or need to knowers in shape. And so that, to me, that always left me realizing that we knew what was going on. Well, why? Thank you, Sandy. You're so funny. My last letter that I have today in the word APLOMB. And, it's so funny, as I was talking when I first started, before some of you came in, APLOMB, every time you try to put it in to the search engine, unless you type it in, it comes up A and then PLUM, but it's APLOMB, APLOMB. And it's just one of those words that, probably you can use other words instead of it. You could use poise and self-assurance and all of that. But one of the things Are You Stuck really talks about is expanding the, your vocabulary, so that you don't have to continue using the same words all the time, that you can use other words that have the same meaning or similar meaning that will actually boost up the conversation and your ability to show that you know what you're talking about, but that you've added something. In fact, I took one of those quizzes early this morning. I was up and I took a quiz, and they said, well, well, you are quite the word whistler." I said, "Okay." I had never seen some of those words before, but I I used them. So I guess after a while you realize that words have similar, I guess, roots, and the root of the word, like med, is already going to tell you something. MED, that's going to tell you something. DOC, so after a while, you just figure, well, it's in the family of those words, and how would I use them, and how would I make sense of this word that I've never seen before, that has some different endings on it, that I don't know much about. But anyway, my last word, I digress. My last word is B, is balance, for B, balance. And we need to be balanced when we're dealing with anything that's an aplomb. And that means that we've not gone too far to the left or right. We're cognizant, we're aware of what we're doing. So balance is a condition in which the different elements are equal, meaning that we know where we're at in the project. We know what we're doing. We've kept an eye on it, and we're responsible for it going forward. And we're doing it in such a way that there's, we've looked at the fairness of it. Hey, Cheryl. No, benefits. Yes. Oh, both of y'all are up. Benefit and benefits. Okay, great. That's a great word for with the S on it, just pluralizes it. But the fairness, the justice, it says the parity, the equity, the evenness, the symmetry, and the levelness. All of those words pretty much say what balance is. And I think after a while, we as individuals who have worked projects, or we have our own businesses, or we've been at the top of our game in terms of the jobs that we've had, we must know that balance has to play into it, so that even though someone may come in and they may have an off day and they may be rude and disrespectful, that doesn't mean you become rude. A buy into, yeah. You don't be rude and disrespectful to them, because all it does is escalate the atmosphere to not being a good one to work in. So, and I tell you, and being in charge sometimes means you may be alone. Being in charge sometimes means that you might be the Lone Ranger, only because that you're the one that's fully invested or fully vetted in something, and someone else isn't. They may just being bold. I like that too. They may just being paid. And sometimes the pay doesn't always level up to where people feel they've been fairly treated, and fairness has come out, or it's justified, or they feeling a certain amount of evenness. Sometimes you don't even know why people may fall short of doing their best on something they signed on to. And sometimes you as the leader may feel it very, very frustrating. Don't let it come and let it go, because eventually bond is good. Oh, and brave. That's a great word, because sometimes when we've taken on projects, we have to be brave, because after we get in there, we realize, oh my goodness, how horrible it is. And I think the bond is good, because I as a person who I think works pretty well with people, is I try to let people feel their own level of being comfortable in what it is that they're doing. And when they feel that they're uncomfortable, then I ask them, look, I leave the door open for us to talk. Let's talk about why you're uncomfortable. Where do you think we need to make changes? What else needs to be done? So that idea of being a plum just says that you're at the top sometimes, and the tough decision may be of how you get other people to even talk to you. How you get them to, and it can't be always with just a smile, and it can't be always with the check. Sometimes you have to get them involved in the creation of and the appreciation of what it is that they're doing. You know, I always believe that, you know, if you have a good team will work. But if you have somebody that um, has just decided that what they're working for isn't enough, either the project's not enough, the money's not enough, and the atmosphere can't be dealt with in terms of being enough for them. So how do you go back and address those things? You have to address them head on, because that's what the APLOMB would do. In whatever the situation is, being tough or not. Okay, here's where we at. Here's where we're at. Here's what we need to do. So let's talk about it. And I know it may be a difficult talk, but we have to get it done. We have to get it done. So that's today's session. Read my last message. What was your last message? A baldness from pulling my hair out. You are so funny. You are too funny. I swear. You don't think that other people weren't pulling their hair out from fooling with you? Yes, we loved it though. We loved it. Just one of the best, one of my best working friendships ever. And the fact that we discovered each other later on in life was cool, you know, and both moved to Florida. Actually, most of us from that agency moved to Florida. Isn't that wild? We had enough of that. Buffalo got what, 40, I think it got like 40 inches last week or the other day. We'll say the other day. Yes, but Dwight's in the 40 plus, and then they were scheduled to get 3 more inches, I think today or yesterday. So, you know, 43 inches of snow. That's a lot of snow. And I just remember it. I remember being 28 inches and 32 inches. And, you know, I'm kind of challenged when it comes to my height. So, you know, for me, I like go outside and before you know it, the snow was too high for me. So, you know, we had to find folks to help us get the snow shoveled, because, you know, in New York, your car would be plowed in because they made it difficult because all the cars were on the street and they just moved them to left to right, basically left side of the street or right side of the street. You remember this, Debbie? Only because they had so many hours that you could be on one side of the street, and then so many hours you had to move it to the other side of the street, and that's how they would get their sweeping done. The road sweepers or the road snow clearers would come through. The snow plows would come through. But no thanks, I'm with you. It says, well, he's either shoveling and freezing cold or dealing with bugs down here. I'll take the bugs. But here's the deal. I just hire the Terminex people, and that keeps the bugs away. Because if I see a bug in the house, I just go absolutely crazy. You know, and the ones I've only seen in here are the big palmetto type bugs. That's it. After that, now if I see something else in here, I'm out. They can have a house. they can have a house. I'm done with it, you know. And when I got to be honest, I had one time when I was studying for my doctorate, I had somebody here working with me. They were my working as the editor just to make sure that I followed through on the thoughts and the grammar and everything was correct. And I was pretty good, but she was better. And we both were sitting at the table and we heard this like big fall. And I said, she looked at me, I looked at her. She said, well, Miss Winborn, I'm getting ready to leave. I said, not without me. So that night I stayed in the hotel, and I had them go look for the squirrel or whatever it was, the rat, the squirrel, whatever it was. But, you know, that's when I used my my smartness of saying that I was a plum. I was confident, I was assured that I wouldn't come back up in here until everything was done. But listen, I had a little fun at the end. You all have a wonderful, wonderful Wednesday. I'm going to be back on Friday with another word. be safe out there because it's supposed to be cold all over the country. If you're out and you're driving or you're doing, other things that require you to be outside or getting in your car, do that. One of the things I did hear this morning about the newer cars, it says you do not have to warm your car up anymore because they have their systems are made where once you get in that car, that's it. By the time they said by the time you click your seatbelt on, you can start the car and drive off. That's it. Or start the car, put your seatbelt on, and then drive off. That's it. You do not have to warm it up and waste your gas. But anyway, love you guys. Let's see. Let's see. Joan, safe travels on the Ocean Blue. Yeah, she's back. She's back. But she'll be back next week. She said she had some stuff to do, but she'll be back. But she wanted me to give you all that message. I love you guys. I'll see you on Friday. If you don't do anything else, would you just hit the share button and let this be shared that there's somebody out there for free? I'm just going to do some words. Are you stuck? Not today. Busy woman. Love you. Love you too. Bye-bye. Be safe, everybody. Thank you.